So at first, I want to learn about yourself. So
Okay.
you have a lot of experience in Japan, in Europe, and in the US. So tell me about yourself more.
Okay, so my name is Saskia, which to some people might give away that, my background is Flemish Dutch. So it's an usual name there. So I was born in Belgium, in Flanders. Your people might know it from Flanders no Inu, right? Very, very famous story that was not written by a Belgian person, but very famous story. So many Japanese know that story. So I'm from Flanders. When I was growing up, I got really interested in Japanese culture. And why was that? Because, the late 70s and the 80s, there was a Japan boom on TV. We had anime. I used to watch Candy Candy. I used to watch Heidi. I used to watch Vicky the Viking. Goldorak, which my husband is Japanese, he tells me is called Grandizer in Japan. And then what really pulled me in was this TV story about Oshin. Very famous, at least with older people in Japan. And it was so interesting to me because in Flanders, we get original dialogue. So because Dutch is such a language that only a few people speak, right? So it's too expensive to dub. So we hear Japanese, we read the subtitles. So I saw this story about a small girl, very hard circumstance, right, during the war, but then she grows up to be this very powerful woman. And so it was so inspirational to me. And I saw like the kimono and how people act so different to each other. And I thought that's so interesting. So I decided to study Japanese
Sounds great.
at university. I'd never been to Japan. So all that I knew about Japan was from TV.
Interesting.
Yes, I studied Japanese. And then after I graduated, I went to Japan with the JET program. So Japan Exchange and Teaching. But I went as somebody who already spoke Japanese. So I ended up in Ishikawa Prefecture in Komatsu, small city, right? Only like maybe 10 foreigners in 1997, long time ago, right? Long time ago. So it was a wonderful experience. And it really taught me about, Japanese kindness, about attention to detail, about, so many things that I felt in the West we were missing. Connection to nature, respect for not only older people, but for everyone. So for me, that was so inspirational. So when I went back to Belgium, I decided, whatever I'm going to do for the rest of my life, I want this connection with Japan and Japanese culture. And so the rest of my career, basically that connection was always there. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And even when I had my own company and I was playing wadaiko professionally in Belgium to show people, this is Japanese culture. It's so inspirational. I felt I was missing something. So I decided to go back to Japan so I could study. I could do my MBA, and I decided to go to Globus University, right? Globus Keizai Daigakuin in Tokyo. So that was in 2012. So I did my studies there. I built a nice network. I was in Tokyo, which of course very different from Ishikawa. I was living in Kotoku still. It's, it's Shitamachi, right? So in Kiyosumi Shirakawa. Very, very nice place. Very nice place. So even though it was a big city, it's still, smaller, right? It feels more like a little bit like Inaka, but not so much as Ishikawa. So I'm very happy living there. After I graduated, I was able to start work at a big consultancy company in Tokyo. And, when I was working there, I did diversity and inclusion. I was also part of the global talent development team. So it was, very, very interesting work to, be part of Japanese style HR and, learning and development, talent development, and see how different that was from my work back in Europe. So I learned a lot there about how HR is done in Japan. Very, very interesting work. And then I met my future husband, Makoto, and he is originally from Kamakura. So the last 2 years I was in Japan, I actually lived in Kita Kamakura. So went back to Inaka. Back to the countryside, which I really love. And so I was planning to stay in Japan forever. But Makoto's work brought us to San Francisco. So that's why we're here.
Okay.
So we came here in 2018. And then I decided, well, now I need to study again because I don't know much about American HR. So I went back to school. I got, a certificate in American HR. And then I worked at several companies, big companies, smaller companies, to learn what it's like over here to do HR, what is, what knowledge is necessary, how do we treat people over here. What's different with Japan and what's different with back in Belgium, back in Europe. So that was, very, very interesting work as well. But I realized my connection with Japan was gone, while I was learning. So a few years ago, I decided, well, I really want to work with Japan and the Japanese again. So that's when I said yes. When my old friend asked me to work for Japan Consulting Office. So what we do at Japan Consulting Office is we train people who work with Japanese, so non-Japanese and Japanese. We train both of them to work more efficiently together because there are very big differences in expectations, communication style, and especially expats, Japanese expats coming to companies here in the United States, they often don't know what to expect. Their, local colleagues don't know what to expect. And so, there's a lot of issues that we can very easily fix with some training. And so now I have two different hats. So I work with Japan Consulting Office as their, U.S. managing director. So I build the business. I build specific programs that are, meant for, the American and the Japanese American market. And then I also have my own company, my own LLC. There I work as Saske HR Ninja. And I try to help, local Japanese companies that, have just arrived in the United States or they need help with understanding what the gaps are between Japanese and American HR, how to avoid issues, how to make sure that, they don't lose people, right? Not their local hires, but also not their Japanese expats. Just make sure that everybody's happy and can work together very nicely.
Yeah, that's very fascinating. You have a lot of experience all over the world, especially Japan. And I love to discuss about the experience at Komatsu because we are also rural area, local area. Maybe it's a lot of similar things, but today, so I will focus on, well-being. So
right.
We're gonna discuss about the topics related with being. So I just want to start. So as you described, you in 1997, you found Japanese good things, so kindness or rest, etc. And as you mentioned, West world is missing.
Yes.
So what is the greatest things you found in those days?
Curiosity as well. Curiosity for things that are different and accepting those things that are different.
Mm.
I mean, of course, like, you know, with my colleagues, I was the only non-Japanese person in City Hall, right? So, you know, they were very curious. How do you do things outside of Japan? Right? How can we maybe use some of those things in here? I was really surprised for that openness. Also, you know, from people on the street who've never seen like a non-Japanese person before. They would come up to me and they would ask questions. And so this is something that you don't really see, especially in Europe, where people are a little bit more reserved. And it's interesting because Japanese people are very reserved towards each other, right?
Yeah, that's what I think about it. So,
But not towards me. Not towards me. So that I found that very interesting.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you think it has it changed through the next visiting in Japan? So 1997 and the next time the 2012. So it's 10 over 10 years.
Yes, yes. I think it also has to do with the difference between the countryside and the big city, right? Inaka.
Yeah.
People are just, you know, they're more relaxed. They're curious. You know, maybe nothing much is happening on a daily basis. They're like, oh, this is something new. I want to learn about this. And, you know, I mean, when I lived in Kanagawa, of course, you know, it's next to Shizuoka, right?
Yeah.
So I went to Atami a lot. I love Atami. You know, we used to visit Shizuoka a lot, you know, Izu Peninsula. So I find that, you know, where life slows down, people are more interested and kinder, and they take time to get to know you. And I think that's something that we're missing in the West. And specifically now that we, you know, you and I, we both live here in Silicon Valley, it's the pace of life is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I really agree with that, especially regarding the works. It's really speedy.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bit tough for me.
Yeah.
You know, I need to change my mindset or my work style.
Right.
Yeah. But back then, the 2014, so you graduated in this school, and have a job at a big consultant agency in Japan. And you focus on diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
So what was the findings in those days at the company? So I guess in 2014, there's a lot of foreigner already coming to Japan and a lot of foreigner working in Japanese company. But what was?
Well, you know, when I joined that consulting company, I joined as like a mid-career hire, right? But still, they had no real job description for me. So that's very different from the West, right? When you join a Western company, there's like, you're going to do this and this and this and this and this and that. So I joined this company and it just said, Saskia will work in the HR department. And that was it. So, you know, I was asked to join the D&I team, the diversity team, and then I was asked to join the global talent development team. But they basically left me to, you know, design my own job. Like, what do we need? We don't really know what we need here. So please, again, that curiosity of what do you know about these topics outside of Japan? And are there some things that we can, you know, develop here at our company? And so the first thing that I did was ask, okay, I'm a foreigner here. How many other foreigners are there in this company? This company has more than 10,000 employees in Japan. They said, oh, well, we don't really know. Okay, so that was my first job. Let's find out how many non-Japanese do we have in this company? 10,000 people, only maybe about 300. So you said many foreigners in Japan. No, still not. So on the whole, you know, this is a very, very small quantity, right? So you don't really notice them. And also, I mean, of course, people notice me, right? Because I look different. But a lot of the non-Japanese employees were actually from Asia. So they're not very noticeable.
Makes
right? Right. So I looked at what the challenges were. So especially for, you know, people who did not have, you know, a lot of exposure to Japanese before joining the company, they struggled very much because all the systems in the company were only in Japanese. So one of the first things that I did was to translate messages from the CEO, from HR, that have very important information for all employees, but that they were not translated.
That's it. It's only in Japanese.
Yes. So if you don't speak Japanese, or even if you speak Japanese, it's very hard to read these messages. It takes so much time, and people are busy, right? Everybody's a consultant. So they're very, very busy. So just, taking the time to translate these messages made a huge difference. People came to me and they said, oh, now I feel like I'm part of this company. And this brings us to well-being and belonging, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So before that, they don't feel we are belonging to the company.
That's what they told me. That's what they told me. Like, nobody tells us anything. Nothing is done to help us. Like, imagine being in a place where you cannot read messages, or you have to submit your expenses and everything is in Japanese, and you always have to ask a colleague to help you. You don't like doing that. Or you need personal help. You have to ask your colleague because you have, a medical problem. That is very difficult.
It's very tough.
Yeah, very tough. So, afterwards, people told me, well, this gives me better incentive to stay with this company because I was thinking about leaving, right? But now we feel like people actually care about us.
That's amazing. And also, I want to ask as you mentioned, the job description. So, I think that recently some company provide job description, but most of all company don't have job description.
Right.
So just hiring, and then you are the part of HR. That's it.
Right. Right.
So maybe it's related to, avoid the issue, kind of expectations. So could you describe more details about the difference between Europe or US and Japan? If possible, which is better around the hiring process?
Okay. So, when you join a Japanese company, you join the company. And at least in the traditional system, the company will decide what your career is going to look like. Right? That's how it used to be. So even in my case, which is a little bit more narrowed down, okay, you will join HR. Still, the company decides where to put me. And I didn't feel like I could say no to jobs that were not really connected to what I wanted to do. For example, the global CEO is visiting. Okay, Saskia, could you please take notes in the meeting? Okay, I can do that. It's not really my job, I feel, but because I'm asked to do this, I will do it. In Europe and in the United States, that would never happen because you have a very concrete job description. And you decide to join a company based on that job description. And once you're there, if, your boss asks you to do something that's not in your job description, you would ask, why? Your boss has to have a very good reason to ask you to do this thing that is not your official job. Right? So that's the difference. Which is better? I think for the employee, probably having more certainty of what their job is better. But I also feel that sometimes causes problems in teamwork, right? And that is where Japan is so strong, because it's like we're all in this together. We work for this company. Teamwork is wonderful in Japan. But you lose track of the individual people in the team, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the perfect solution is to have both together. Have the wonderful teamwork, but also make sure that people can do the job that they like, that they're good at, that they feel they have some choice in what they do.
Right. That's very great insight, and I totally agree with that. So it's important to combine the Western culture and Japanese culture. And as you mentioned, so from my perspective, so Japanese company has a lot of good teamwork, but it causes a lot of work. So kind of the black company, so which made employees works longer and longer. But there's no job description, and they can't, avoid this situation. So as a company or as a manager, so how to avoid this situation? Just using employees as tools.
So, I mean, that's a very complicated question, right? How to avoid, this is what we call overhead, right? So overhead is the cost of procedure, the cost of doing things a certain way, the cost of paperwork. And we know in Japan there is huge overhead. So compared to the West, there are many, many more people in a team because there's so much need for procedure, for paperwork. Also, there's something what we would call too many cooks in the kitchen. Many people have overlap. They do the same thing many times, exactly the same thing. Sometimes they know about each other, but often they don't. So I think in the future, both with the labor shortage in Japan and the arrival of AI, Japan will need a revolution to decrease overhead. They can use AI for that, but also to build a very different type of, especially HR, that supports people instead of just doing paperwork.
So related to the AI, so I want to ask you, there is a lot of anxiety. So maybe I lost my job or etc. But we need to use AI, and we know the labor shortage is significant in Japan.
Right.
So what can we do if we were HR staff? So just enhancing AI, not only just enhancing AI, but also there is something we can or we have to tackle with.
Yeah. So, I am the eternal optimist. And although a lot of people are saying, oh, we're going to lose jobs and, people won't have work, everybody's going to use AI, I don't really believe it. I believe that people need to change. They need to change for the future. So I use AI every day, and it has made a big difference in my efficiency. So what do I use AI for? To check things, to quickly write job descriptions, for example, to, put arguments forward and see what AI tells me, for example, right? I use it to translate back and forth English, Japanese, some other languages that I speak, because it's a tool. So in HR, I think because HR always has a lot of paperwork, right? But I think we can cut down on the time that we need for that type of paperwork, just using AI. Where I think we do need to be careful is that AI is built by humans. Humans have bias. right? Humans make mistakes. So AI also makes mistakes. So that's where I want to be cautious. And for example, when we talk about hiring or onboarding people, I think humans always need to be there. Yes, you can use AI to speed things up, but humans need to be there, and the humans need to be trained in how to make sure that they're not biased, how to be fair, how to be supportive. I think that's the great chance that we have. Get away from the boring paperwork and really have such a wonderful job in HR supporting people.
Yeah, that would be more creative things and more empowered people in company and also related to the employee well-being. Yeah, that's great insight. And a bit different topic. So how do you feel the, youth generation? So maybe you have been looking Japan for a long time. Do you think, are there any changes among generations for the perspective of well-being or for the perspective of work style, etc.?
I think so, and I'm very happy and I'm very optimistic for the future because, I mean, worldwide, younger generations always change, right? I mean, I'm now, I've passed 50, so looking back when I was young, I see very big difference with young people today, and what I like is they are more empowered. They think for themselves. And I think especially in Japan where, the thinking for yourself is still tempered by the respect that you have for your elders. I think that's a wonderful combination because there's so much to learn from older people. But you have to be able to do that from an, independent or like a self-sufficient point of view where you know who you are and you're not supposed to follow orders or follow other people's ideas without questioning. That's the big change in Japan that I see right now. And the traditional companies are struggling because the manager is still expecting, if you just joined the company, that you do what the manager says without questions. Young people are saying, no. That's not me. I don't want this. I don't want, like my dad, working 14 hours per day, never seeing the family, right? And then, dying because of a heart attack because they work too hard. So young people are saying, no, we don't want this. And so I think they have a wonderful future ahead because companies are having to follow because of the labor shortage. So,
yeah, that's a great positive side for Japan as a whole. But do you have any advice for the elderly person, to the manager? Because as you mentioned, they're working hard, long, but the younger generation don't want to. But they really want to work. So how do you handle with these things?
Well, if you go back to like the real Japanese soul, like the kokoro, right? I feel like that respect for everyone is there. So I think if you're an older manager in Japan right now, you have to think like me as a Japanese person, what are my values? What are the values that my ancestors taught me? And if you go back to that and you forget how your own manager treated you, then maybe you can see, okay, this is not the Japanese way, right? Maybe we need to be respectful of everyone, also young people, because especially young people with how fast society is changing right now, they have ideas, they have insights that older people need to learn. So that's my hope.
Yeah, that's really, I saw the same things maybe 5 or 8 years ago, because we trying to do transformation for
Mhm.
company, and
Mhm.
there's a lot of things which we need to learn from younger generation.
Mhm.
As a media company, so publishing
Yeah,
papers,
yeah.
and the readers is relatively elderly person,
Yeah.
and the journalist and the editor is relatively elderly generation.
Yes.
But we need a younger generation as a
Mhm.
leader,
Mhm.
but we don't know who is there or where is there, who is there.
Mhm.
So we need to learn the
Yeah.
same generation.
Right.
But yeah, I think it has not happened yet in our company.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, change is hard.
Mhm.
And I mean, why is change management a multi-billion-dollar business all over the world? It's because change is hard
Mhm.
and people don't like change.
Yeah.
So again, I think there's a huge potential in Japan for training,
Mhm.
helping people to see that sometimes the old way is not the best way,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think by really treating young people
Mm.
as very important,
Mhm.
I think that's a mind shift.
Mhm.
It's not just, okay, we're hiring 100 new graduates and then we will train them.
Mhm.
We will train them so hard that they lose all their own personality,
Mhm.
right? That's how it used to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And knowing, many Japanese people,
Mhm.
right? My husband is Japanese. Some of my family are Japanese. Japanese people have so much imagination.
Mhm. Imagination.
Imagination. It's a amazing soft power.
Mhm.
Amazing soft power.
Mhm.
Look at anime, right? Manga.
Mhm.
You know, the stories are very different,
Mhm.
very imaginative,
Mhm.
things that, I'm right now I'm watching Dan Da Dan
Oh yeah, the latest.
and it blows my mind. I'm always things happening that I was not expecting at all.
Mhm.
While I find in the West, like very often you have a set expectation. Oh, this is a movie about relationships. This is a drama. This is an action movie. You know the script,
Mhm.
but when you start watching Japanese anime, you go like,
Mhm.
and so I think the future for Japan
Yeah.
is to not only respect that imagination, but to train people for it so that it comes out even more.
Mhm.
So not train young people, join the company, let's forget who you are. Let's train you until you think like all of us in
Yeah.
the box.
No.
But train them to have that imagination come out.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great point of view, and yeah, all people have the imagination, they're original by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, the company need to train their
Yeah.
imagination or need to be free for them
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I want to ask, you support the person who wants to work for Japanese company.
Mhm.
So what is a fascinating point for them to want to be part of a Japanese company? So there's a lot of things, I guess, and we
Right.
cover.
Right,
the-
right, right.
But what is it most? What is it?
I mean, a lot of people who decide to study Japanese, it's because of this fascination, right?
Mhm.
Very different. I mean, everything is very different from the West. And then you get pulled in by the kindness, all these things that we talked about before. But I think what people are attracted to, and especially, I mean, people who want to go work in Japan recently might be job security.
Mhm.
Right? Especially if you look here in Silicon Valley in the United States, I was amazed.
Job security. So could you elaborate on that?
So, growing up in Belgium, working in Belgium, the job security in Belgium is pretty good because employees are very protected. So the government has very strict rules on, what it takes for a company to be able to fire somebody. Japan is the same, right? It's difficult to fire somebody in Japan. So then come here to the United States, and especially in Silicon Valley, that protection is not there.
Yeah.
So, and California is actually better than the rest of the U.S. because the HR, the rules that the companies have to follow here are much stronger than in the rest of the United States. So here you have a at will work style, right?
Mhm.
So yes, I joined the company, but the company can let me go at any time. And so this has happened to people I know. Like one day they are number one employee. They get an award and everything. The next day, security comes to their room. They have to give up their computer and they're escorted outside of the company. Next day. So I think, this is definitely a draw for people who know about, Japanese job security. So when you go to Japan and you get hired, as a seishain, right?
Yeah.
As a regular employee, then you can make mistakes. Maybe the company doesn't do very well, but the company will try and protect the employees. Here in the United States, even if the company is doing well, if your shareholders are saying, "Oh, we don't like this, you need to let people go," you get cut. So that's a big difference. So I think that's a draw because even the U.S. subsidiaries of Japanese companies that I know, they work more in the Japanese system. Not as much job security as Japan, but more than is usual in the United States.
So combining the both pros.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of pros and cons both sides.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe the best way is combining the pros.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
But I think also, people are very attracted to work in Japan because they know all the good things. But until you work in Japan for a Japanese company, you don't experience the bad things, right? The worst bad thing is pressure. Lots of pressure. And it's nothing compared to the pressure that your Japanese colleagues have. Pressure to stay longer, pressure to do certain things, pressure to be or to work a certain way. So there's a lot less freedom.
Yeah. So
right?
You mean pressure to be at office?
Yes.
9 to 5 or extended 7, 8 p.m. Yeah, that's I feel very same things because I've been working here for 4 years. So there's a lot of freedom. So I can bring my son at around 2 or 3 p.m. Then back to home, start reworking.
Right.
Yeah. But in Japan, we cannot do that.
Right.
So I think, our company or Japanese company should implement these things because there's a lot of parents in the company.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe it's, contribute to their employee well-being.
Right.
Some type of freedom is needed for that one. Yeah.
I think I want to say one more thing about how Japanese HR or how Japanese companies can help the change. So, of course, I've been away from Japanese HR for more than 5 years now, right? So I don't know how much change there has been. But when I was there, I felt HR was very transactional, all about paperwork, all about rules. And so what I would love for Japanese HR to become is more people-based. Not one rule for everyone, but trying to really figure out who every person is that's working for the company and how they can be best supported to become the best employee they can be at the company. And so I think we can do that by training. We need to train the HR employees, of course, and then the HR employees can help with the training of regular employees. so that they are not afraid of change,
Mhm.
so that they feel that they have a career path at the company. Because that's one other thing. Like, if you don't know
Mhm.
what's going to happen in the future, like, how can you feel you belong to this company? How
Mhm.
can you feel that this company is really investing in your future as a person? So,
Does that mean the kind of personalized HR?
yeah,
Yeah, I think that everyone is different.
yes,
Everyone has different experience, different
exactly.
household, etc.
Mhm.
So maybe need to be more personalized
Right, right,
employees.
right. And this is what I am seeing here in the United States. Much more attention to mental health, right? There are new types of HR supporting companies that are coming up, companies that offer help with bereavement leave, for example. Your father passes away. In the old days, it used to be you got 3 days to organize the funeral, and then you had to be back at work, and you were not supposed to show that you're hurting, right? So that, I think, is a very good thing that's happening, that people are paying attention to. Okay, this is not just somebody who just puts in data. This is an actual human being who has feelings. And if those feelings are hurt, of course it's hard to do a good job, right? So for some people, it's like for their parents. Some people are very upset when their pet dies. And back in Europe, my colleagues would say, like, oh, come on. Really? You need to get leave because your dog just died? And I would feel, no, my dog is really important to me. So I'm very upset, right? So I think, you cannot decide what is important for somebody else, right?
That's right.
So
it's respects that person.
yes, yes,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that's really great insight, and maybe we can do step by step, and then it will make the company more great and attracts a person, especially younger people.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your insights. And I'd like wrapping up this conversation, just asking you the personal well-being habits or routine, or what do you do for your well-being?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like being outside, right? I work mostly from home. I work by myself. So, I share an office with my husband, which is nice, but, it's only the two of us. We're always in the same space. So I try to go walk. I try to walk about 6 miles a day. So that's about 9 kilometers a day. And I do that outside. The weekend, I try to go hiking. So that's a great thing about living in the Bay Area, because this is, such a beautiful, beautiful place. Lots of nature outside. I started doing that actually when I was living in Kamakura, because you also have beautiful mountains there.
Yeah.
I could run from, my husband's house in Kitakamakura to, the Daibutsu, the big Buddha, and back, and visit all the temples. And so I think, spending time with yourself outside is very important for well-being. And of course, sleeping enough, eating good food. I'm lucky my husband loves cooking, so I get very, healthy Japanese home cooking.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah. So, and I think reflection on what it is that you really want as a person. I think that's very important for your own well-being. And, one of the questions that was, were in your original list is what is the balance between a good career and, your well-being? And I think everybody needs to decide that for themselves. Do you need to have a high-paying job? If that's important to you, yes, that's okay. If you just want to do your job so that you can earn enough money to support your family and you want to spend more time with your family, that's okay too. I think you need to decide that.
And also, if the HR started a personalized HR staff, maybe they can, support them, each individual. If you like going outside, so you can go there, you can take a break, or you can go cooking, etc. So might be good.
Right.
Yeah, really, it's a good company.
Right. And, one other thing that I'm seeing here in the United States is that companies try to give employees the option to take a break. Several ways that you can do that. You can take a career break for X amount of months, right? Sabbatical, as they say. Some companies, they support their employees to take a break and do volunteer work during that time. And I think, and maybe that's where we can end, is that volunteer work and doing things that make you feel like you're doing something good, that you're supporting the community. I think that's really important as a human being, and it's very much connected to well-being as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And thank you for sharing your great insights for us. Thank you so much today.
Thank you. This was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.